Hi guys, welcome to Pantheon Tactical, formerly known as Baba Yaga Contracting Airsoft. We changed our name because we're working with some other YouTubers, but today we're going to be doing something unique because, well, I got a 3D printer for my Airsoft and I want to get into it. So, to start off, I've been using my 3D printer to, of course, build flash hiders, flashlight jigs, little sight optics, add-on things, modification parts, butt stocks, little things that are very useful for Airsoft and expensive if you're going nilly-willy and buying it, but with a 3D printer you can put out items and cost you not much in detail. But today we're going to be reviewing a piece that took me about 2.5 days to print in total on my printer. I am using a longer LK5 Pro with PLA. I specifically use the longer PLA just because I'm still testing it out. This piece here is the XE-15 CAT, the cheap anti-tank launcher. This piece here is a single launch fire round, has a solid bottom, she looks good. She has a safety trigger here. When you go to fire, you pull up and you just pull that off and then you slam your finger down and it fires. It goes together in a very unique way, which is its biggest downfall, but it's also its greatest advantage, being what it is. This piece here, in total, is just 2 to 3 PVC tubes, depending if you want an inner barrel, depending if you're wanting to use tagging rounds or if you want to just use the foam balls. It's held together with 2 nuts right here and 2 bolts which come apart here. The piece comes apart by 2 bolts on either side right here, and this is the biggest problem with this piece. She takes a little bit of time to unload and load. You undo those bolts, you put in your 40mm round here. She goes up on the inside. Give me a moment, this takes just a second. And this is the part that I don't like about this piece. This piece took all that time to print, and in total cost about $20 to $25, depending on if you bought good screws or if you bought crap screws. And I just dropped a bolt. We'll get that in this half second here. Lay that bolt down. This piece separates the front end where your 40mm shell goes into. This one is gassed. Hang on, I gotta grab my bolt that I dropped. So, take your 40mm shell, drop into it, push down in, make sure she's nice and snug. Next, we take this one over here, put this onto that, push down. You'll notice the hammer is sticking up just a little bit now. The firing mech, excuse me. I'm going to take that, put it up on the interior, start to thread that piece right up. You got to do this twice, and as you can see, the biggest downfall to this piece is its simplicity. While doing this, it takes about, I'd say, comfortably a minute to make sure everything's loaded correct, because we still have yet to get the ball put into it, which we're not doing now, but we're capable of. The ball that I've been using is just a standard stress ball. I got it off of eBay for like $1, $2, so it wasn't expensive. This is my ammunition. Big squishy stress ball, goes down the tube, goes the whole way. We pull the trigger, she's ready to fire. Now we fire, and she fired. Now, the problems. This piece is cheap, she's easy to use, but the problems behind it are the reason why it's a good piece to start with for an event item, but it's bad in the long run if you're wanting to use it as a main squad piece. Other than playing with the bolts and having to fight with it to unload it every single time, it takes forever. You need a jamming rod to get the shell out. Or, see, shell doesn't want to come out. I have a PVC tube on hand that I've been using to just eject my shell right into there. So, that shell comes right out. I don't have this glued together on the tip end here just because of comfort. For right now, I was just doing this to show you because of how it goes together. But that piece there, getting that shell out, is one of the biggest problems. I'm going to flip that over so it's more safe. The other problem is getting this thing to fit up to take your 40mm shell right. For me to get this piece to there, this is the lineup, the bottom part where that catches for the bolt assembly. For this to go into there, I kept going it in, and it was leaving up to an 1.5 inch gap between here, and I couldn't figure out how to fix it. So the way to fix it, and I've done all the pain in the butt work to tell you how to do it. You're going to need a heat gun. What you're going to do is take the heat gun, put it on high, get it nice and hot, and then you're going to take the heat gun and aim it on the interior and aim along this inner circle here. Just spin it around a couple times, and take your finger, touch it. If your finger's able to malleable it and move it around a little bit, as soon as it's there, take the piece, go to your bottom piece, push over, and squeeze down on it. You're going to mold it to fit your bottom part of your firing mech. Doing so guarantees that your shells are able to get in and out of this without a problem. Now, since you have the shell fitting, shell ejecting being a big issue because you need an unjamming rod basically for it, the other issue you have, and this all completely depends on your printer and how well it's fine-tuned, is the firing pin. The firing pin that came with the files for this, by the way, these files are completely free on Thingiverse. So I will have their link inside the description for everybody to have. But the firing pin was way too short for what I was dealing with, so I had to make my own. I went on to Tinkercad, which, get really comfortable with that if you have a 3D printer and you just need to do basic work. Get onto Tinkercad and imitate the firing pin that they made, and then from there you're going to size it up in different millimeter by millimeter to increase. My final firing pin took me 20 minutes to produce with it on the 3D printer, so it's not a big heavyweight job. But for what this is a good piece for a milsim if you're wanting to take out independent vehicles, line up sights. This will be glued, so don't do this this is just done for temporary to show you guys what's going on with it. But it's good for milsims. It's good for setting yourself up for game modes and making your field look nice. Also, it's going to get you some attention on the field. This does look like a nice little bazooka going over your shoulder. Just aim over and fire. It's going to get some attention. So, for like 20-25 bucks in parts, a little bit of patience and some know-how and tinkering with the items I suggested to you, this is a good piece for your field, for milsim kits. However, it's not something you're going to want to take out on the field to do repeat shots, because you're going to be firing and then reloading. You're going to have a faster time loading a musket than you are this. So, the files for this are going to be linked in my description for Thingiverse. This is not my item. This is from Explosive Enterprises. They also produce tagging shells and other parts to come through. So this is one of those pieces that I'm going to highly suggest to produce as a one-off. But it is not the one that I have ended up dealing with for my milsim games. We're going to make another video on that one, and then we're going to compare the two in that video. So, thank you guys for watching this. If you have any questions, put them in the descriptions here. Like and subscribe. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Find me on Instagram, YouTube, and of course on Facebook. We used to be known as Baba Yaga. We are now known as Pantheon Tactical. Thanks for following.